hearing in the back. I don't know why someone brings it all the way up. Maybe this is better. So why don't we go through the quiz questions? So tomorrow there'll be a quiz in CSE 12, and I believe I'm just trying to think of normally. Well, we had two classes back to back. The first class is quiz in the last 20 minutes of class, and then the second class is quiz the first 20 minutes. So I think that's probably what we'll do. And I guess it'll probably be, maybe the thing to do is students from the first class should exit through the front of the room, and students from the second class should enter through the back. Everyone seems to enter from the back in Center Hall, but there is another door in the front. So maybe the best thing is for the first class, the 3:30 class, after their quiz is done, they should exit through the front door and in the front of the room, and then the other folks will come in once the room is cleared. I think that's why we're doing. And the other logistical thing is you'll all have assigned seating for the quiz. So maybe some of you are used to getting an assigned seat for the lab, and you'll get an assigned seat for your quiz as well. So you can have regular seating if you want, and then at some point we'll say, okay, quiz seating, and then everyone gets up and goes and takes their quiz seat, and then you can sit there for your quiz seat. Then we take the quiz, and then we'll be done. And then when the next class comes in, you want to take your quiz seats, and then after the quiz is done, I'll say, okay, now you can sit wherever you want. So, and we'll bring a seating chart in the front so that if you'll all get an email with your assigned seat. Has that already occurred? No, it hasn't. So you'll all get an email with your assigned seat, and then it should come from Jonathan Perez. He's one of the tutors. He's the one that does all the assigned seating. And anyway, we'll have seating charts printed out in the front, so if you can't see it on your phone, you didn't read your email, or whatever the reasons are, we'll always have a seating chart in front of the room. And then all the quizzes are closed book, closed note, open mind, closed neighbor. And typically what we do is we have 100 questions or 150 questions, and I scramble them all up and then print like 10 versions or 12 versions of the quiz. And so everyone's quiz, well, not everyone's is different, but most likely your neighbor will have a different quiz than you, asking completely different questions. So some people say, oh, this is unfair, that I have harder questions than my friends have. And I think, as you'll see here, they'll all be able to be answered in the same kind of fraction of a minute. I don't think that there's really an advantage one way or the other. Okay, so that's kind of the quiz logistics. Any logistics questions? Yeah. No, I'll print out the quiz handout. Yeah.
How many questions are on the quiz?
The questions are on the quiz, it'll usually be like a dozen. And then sometimes there's a question on the back. Well, there's a question on the front to answer on the back. Sometimes, not always. And sometimes I want you to draw something.
Is it mostly like download stuff?
Let me show you. Let's see if I can find this. This way, here's a quiz. So this is a quiz from the summer probably. And let's do this one. This is with solutions. So here is an Excel spread. Oh, this doesn't have many questions. Let's see. Let's do this one. There's 5. So big. I don't know why it's so big. There we go. So here's an Excel spreadsheet. I use Excel. I think Excel isn't for computer scientists, but it's really nice. It's probably a tool I use every day, almost every day. So here's a bunch of questions. And how many are there here? There are 138 questions. Here's the blank, and then they're all numbered 1 through 12. And here's all the answers. And so if I say print preview on this, print preview, look, it looks like a quiz. Isn't that amazing? 12 questions, and it's all so nice. And then I can say, let's change this into the key, and say, yes, it's the key. And then I can say, go here, print, and look, there are all the answers. Wow. And then I can say, I can select, and let's sort by column A, which is a random number. So we sort by column A, custom sort column A, and we hit OK. And now everything's, this is Control Y, repeat, repeat, repeat. So this is kind of like a slot machine. You pull the slot machine and everything goes and spins, and there we go. Take my hand off. Okay, and now this is the ordering of this quiz. Of course, we don't want to give you the keys. We say no. And then we go and say print preview. And here's page 1, here's quiz 2, here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically, I print one of these. So this is how it all works. That's what it's going to look like. And here at the bottom, it says, when done, please fold it in half and wait for further directions. Other times it might say to draw something on the back. And if you can't fit your answer in this small little blank, then just write it as best as you can. But this, I think it's really, really nice. It makes it so we have a bunch of different quizzes, and we really want to promote academic integrity. We don't want to, and I don't want to say this. So I haven't. So anyway, let's go from Piazza today. I could find the spreadsheet, and I'd rather not spend the time to do that. But so these are, for the most part, these are going to be the questions you're going to be asked. Maybe I might add one or two more or change something around a little bit. But really, these are just, if you look at them, they're from lecture. The fill in the blanks from the key points in lecture, and they're just turned into question form. So it's really, do you understand what lecture is, or how do you make sense of lecture? Did you capture the key points? And doing this every 2 weeks, I think, is a really good review. So why don't we start? In Java, C or C++ code, where the number begins with a leading 0, what do you know about that number? It's octal. What about a 0x base? Then it's hexadecimal. Without any prefix, it's decimal. How many binary digits are needed to represent one hexadecimal digit? 4. 4 binary digits is one hexadecimal digit. In C, in your right line function, you have a loop of printing characters terminating when processing what character? This is right line. Right line finishes with a null character. And it's good. We really want participation from everyone, right? That would be good. And a lot of you are participating, which is good, but this is what we're going to do. Some people say, oh gosh, we have to memorize all these things. Hopefully you understand them. Maybe if you memorize them, maybe you have to do that, I don't know. But if you're asked a question at a job interview and you answer really quickly because it shows that you're familiar with that concept, and that you're confident about your answer, it really does relay information about you. Okay, so let's continue on. Should you print a null character in right line? No. Write the hexadecimal value that represents all ones for 32 bits. It would be all F's, 8 digits long. Assuming a 4-bit unsigned word, convert the binary number 0101 to hexadecimal. That is the hexadecimal number. That's 5. If you're a little unsure, you can think of these as multiplications additions of multiplications by powers of 2. So this would be 1 times 2 to the 0, 0 plus 0 times 2 to the 1, plus 1 times 2 to the second, plus 0 times 2 to the third. Or you could say it's the 0 column, the 2 column, the 4 column. So here, this is a 1 in the 8s column. This is the same as saying 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1. So what is this one? This is the number 8. This is the number 15, F. Okay, convert the number to hexadecimal, okay? So 15 wouldn't give you a right answer. Maybe that would give you the half credit answer because you're answering decimal. Hexadecimal numbers always start with 0x. So if you get the 0x, even if it's the same thing, it's not a hexadecimal number without 0x, so you wouldn't get full credit, half credit. In your base out function, when processing a small positive number, you have a loop of processing that number, terminating when what condition is met. Base out keeps processing until
The number is 0.
how about when you receive new line? You keep processing again and again and again, number after number after number. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. So I would get that wrong. Okay, that was base deck in. In base out, you keep processing that number until your division as a result is 0. So your quotient is 0. That's when that stops. Assuming the user inputs a short valid string, in your getAlign function, you have a loop of processing characters terminating when processing what character? New line. In C, what is the minimum character array size needed to store the string in C? 4. Convert to hexadecimal. So these 4 characters are 0, then D, 0, F, F, E, E, 0. Convert 0xd to binary, that is 1, 1, 0, 1. Assuming the user inputs a valid number, in your decInt function, you have a loop of processing characters terminating when processing what character? New line. What is the effect on the standard input buffer when only the following keystrokes are entered? A, B, backspace. Standard in, what happens to standard in with A, B, backspace? Nothing. You have to hit what character to put them in standard input? Enter. There's no enter key here yet, so there's nothing happening to standard input until you type enter. What sequence of keystrokes causes CSU12 programs to terminate normally? Control D. What character exists at the end of all strings in C and C++? No. What is the standard input? When the standard input buffer is empty and your program calls fgetC, what is the resultant behavior of your program? Waits for input. Convert 0x9 to binary, that's 1, 0, 0, 1. If you want to convert to binary, you think of what are all the powers of 2 that will result in that number. So the powers of 2 that will add up to 9 are 8 plus 1. That's the number 9. So that's 1, 0, 0, 1. There's 2 situations that cause standard output to be displayed to the screen when running a C program. There are 5 conditions. So the 5 conditions are you end your program normally. That was one of them, and that was an unusual situation. The buffer is full. That was another unusual situation. You explicitly flush the buffer. That's another unusual situation. You ask for input. That's the normal situation, very common. Or you ask to print a character term, the new line. So that's another normal situation. So those are the 5 situations that cause standard output to be displayed to the user in C and C++. And we're asking for 2 of them, and there are 5. What character is the last one entered in every response in C, C++, and Java when reading from the standard input? New line, or enter. Convert 5 to binary, it's the same as 4 plus 1, so that's 0, 1, 0, 1. Convert to hexadecimal, so this is what? 0, F, E, E, D, D, A, D. So this is feed dad. Dad is hungry. Write the decimal value that represents all ones for 32 bits as a signed value. The decimal value that's all ones for 32 bits as a signed value is -1. Should you store the new line character as part of the string form by getAlign? No. Should you store the null character as part of the string formed by getAlign? Yes. Assuming the following line of code in C is executed, lists one situation where the string is not displayed to the user. Printing to standard out hello world without any of the conditions that cause it to be displayed. So what would the problem be? Maybe a runtime error after this line of code executed, or an infinite loop after this line of code executed. Right, but it says assuming the following line of code did execute. What is a situation that would cause the string not to display? Standard error is used to display what two kinds of messages? Debug and error messages. What is the length of a string ABC? 3. We need how many characters to store that string? 4. That its length is 3. What two commands must you enter the Unix prompt line from the homework 2 directory to begin working on homework 2?
CD.
CP. I want to type in make directories and make install. Make directories, make install. Every single program will be make directories, make install. Convert 0xA to binary. That would be, that's 10. 10 is the same as 8 plus 2. So this would be what? 1, 0.0. In the following assignment in C, what is the type of the character variable? Character equals F gets C standard in. Character would be a type int. What is displayed to the terminal by the following C code? Write line hello world to standard out, followed by write line goodbye world to standard error, with no carrier returns. Goodbye world shows up first, and then hello world shows up second on the same line, with a space after world on each one. Write the hexadecimal value that represents all ones for 32 bits. That would be hexadecimal FF, 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 8Fs. As a signed integer, the bit pattern FFFFFF at 32 bits is commonly known as -1. In C, assuming FF is stored in a signed character, so we have a signed character, 8 bits of the character, it's signed, so there's a signed bit there. Is the number positive or negative? Negative, because it would be a 1 in that signed bit. What is the hexadecimal value for the largest signed positive number that can be stored in 32 bits? So it's a signed value, so that means the first digit is going to be 7. All the other ones are going to be F, so there's a 7 followed by 7 Fs for a 32-bit number. What word best describes when adding two positive numbers giving a negative result? Overflow. What is displayed to the terminal by the following C code? Write line hello world to standard error, write line goodbye world to standard out. Hello world and goodbye world. Using namespace in C++ is most similar to what keyword in Java? Import. An output statement to standard output starts with what word in C++? Cout. An output statement to standard error starts with what word in C++? Cerr. An input statement from standard input starts with what word in C++? Cin. True or false? Control D input works the same whether standard in is empty or not. False. It's only special when standard input is empty. For all programming assignments, you need to return it, and that is true. You can return it as many times as you want before the deadline. That would be true as well. If you don't want to return it after the deadline, that would be not good. You need to be really careful that you select the correct assignment that you turn in. Right? Sometimes people pick the wrong assignment when they turn it in, so then we don't even see it, so you need to be careful. What is the one best word to describe an unsigned value in C or C++? Positive. In C and C++, what is the numeric value of false? 0. Numeric value of true? 1 or non-zero. In C and C++, the numeric value of null is 0. If making a regrade request with a potential gain of 1 quiz point, are you risking a deduction of your professionalism? Yes. Well, you're not really risking it, you're guaranteeing it. Right? But I would say yes, you're risking that professionalism deduction. I've made some professionalism deductions in 15L, but not in 12. So people that didn't sign up for a lab after like, I don't know how many requests. Craziness, not following the direction of the course staff. If asking for a regrade for a potential gain of 1% or more of the course grade, are you risking a deduction for your professionalism? No. Potential gain of more than 1%. Or a collective potential gain of 1%. Right, you can save them all up. Once it's 1%, it's not a problem. If asking for a regrade with potential gain of less than 1% of the course grade after the grades appear on Triton Link, when those points can change your grade, are you risking a deduction to professionalism? No. How long do you have after a graded program or quiz is returned to you to raise issues about the grading on that program or quiz? You have 1 week. Unless it's less than 1% and it makes a difference in your course grade, then you can ask at the end of the quarter. But otherwise, you really want to bring things up as soon as possible. Under what circumstances can you wait longer than 1 week to raise an issue about grading on a program or quiz? When it makes a difference in your course grade after it's displayed on Triton Link. You really want to wait until that grade actually shows up. How long does a faculty member at UCSD have to easily make a correction to an assigned course grade? It's 1 year. I can easily, takes like 5 minutes, 1 minute. I guess it's just a network delay. Once I find the student, make the grade change, it's like a couple of buttons, click, 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 done. So there's no urgency. Sometimes you'll say, oh, I want to get to you before you assign the course grade. I want you to know this, 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 this. It's like there's not any urgency, right? You shouldn't be presenting yourself urgently to me when there isn't an urgency, right? Typically, if there's the biggest urgency, remaining calm is really the best way to handle those situations. If asking for a clarification about point deduction where the grading comments are insufficient, are you risking a deduction to your professionalism? No. If you don't know why you got a deduction, even if it's 1 point, it's fine to say, hey, what happened here? I don't understand this deduction. You're not asking for those points to be returned to you. You're asking for an explanation of what went wrong. That is a benefit to your learning, no problem at all. But we don't want to, even if it's our mistake, we're not going to make that change, right? It's like less than 1%, whatever. All regrades are our mistakes by definition. The tutors think, oh, I'm so upset, you know, it's my mistake, I made this, the student didn't get those points. It's like, no, don't correct that error. It's less than 1%. It makes no difference in the course grade of that student. They're going to get the grade that they deserve at the end of the course. If it does make a difference, they'll bring it up after the course, once the grades are determined. So there's no loss of anything other than time and effort if you go ahead and award those points back. Right? So we're not trying to take anything from anyone. We're just trying to save the time, acknowledging that there's a bunch of areas where the grade falls, and sometimes, 2 or 3 points, or 10 points, or 20 points may not make a difference. You might still be in that same grade boundary, so you're just wasting someone's time to ask for a change in that grade. And if everyone does it, if someone does it, then we have to do it for everyone, right? Fairness is equal treatment of all students, and it's just a big waste of everyone's time, your time, my time, everyone's, so we're not going to do it. And sometimes someone makes a mistake, and I'll say, sorry, you need to uncorrect that error, because even though it's not going to make a difference, we want to be consistent and not be hypocrites and not play favorites and anything like that. So whatever, some tutors are new and they might make this mistake, but in general, it's we're not taking anything from you. I want to give you the grade. I want to award you the grade, but not necessarily every point you earn. What's next? Professional interactions involve what basic criteria? Some benefit to you. That's the basic criteria. Or a benefit to someone. Maybe it's a benefit to me. That one's okay too. Or a benefit to the tutor. Some of you have offered information to me that's been interesting and beneficial. For full documentation credit in CSE 12, you need to have a comment describing the purpose of every variable, object, and data field that you declare. That is true. Okay, so remember this. People seem to forget as the quarter progresses, and then they get upset when we take a deduction. And the deduction on this kind of thing, it's low at the beginning, and it increases with each assignment. So maybe it's, half a point in homework 1 or 2, and then maybe it's 5 points in homework, 8 or 9 or something. I don't remember exactly the number. If your program passes all execution test cases, you'll always get full credit for that assignment. That will be false. There's going to always be stylistic portions of the assignment, documentation portions of the assignment. We really have the resources to evaluate programs with high scrutiny. So if you get deductions, you really need to say, thank you, grader, for pointing out my error. I will improve and I will be better next time. Okay? That's what you really should do, rather than, what the hell were you talking about? Right? And I have an email that someone started out that way, and then it ended up in all caps at the end. Okay? Even though I'm the #1 student without these 10 points, I want every point back. And my partner needs some points too. It was craziness. And I'm not imaginative. I can't make up such things. This is the truth. Let's see, what's the next one? For full credit in CSE 12, class, struct, and function. A struct is like a class. A struct is in C to what a class is in C++ or Java. So for file, class, struct, and function method headers, as long as the content is complete, you can follow a header style of your choice. That is true. We care about content, and it needs to be consistent content. If you're going to have some really bizarre style, I think you need to justify that. Typically, people don't have a bizarre style. You can point it out on some website. Well, here's the style I'm following. Most of the time, this isn't an issue that comes up. The issue really is more that you're inconsistent in your style or you're missing content. But I don't want you to follow my style. I'll have different styles, we'll have different examples to show you different styles, and then you can pick whatever one you want. We care about the content needs to be complete. You need to be consistent, but whatever you want, it should be fine. And sometimes in Java, I'm not sure if this is here or not, maybe you have one class per file. So you'd have a class header and a file header, and they could be combined into one, and that's perfectly fine as long as the content is there. Like your name, the assignment, the date, those belong in a file header, or the class header would be the name of the class and the names of the data fields and other kinds of things like that. For full credit in CSE 12, you should have one inline comment for every line of code in your program. That is false. You should have one comment for every idea that you implement in your program. That is true. Let's see. Let's say if your function is only one line, do you still have a function header? Yes. Then again, you want to really remember these rules. These are the policies, and you don't want to say, well, that one you don't need it because it's so self-evident, or I don't want to make those decisions. I'd rather have absolute policies that it's, you know what to do. You know what the rules are. And when someone asks, do I have to do blah, 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 I wonder, well, why don't you know? How is it that the rules are ambiguous? That's why we have these questions on the quiz. We want to make sure that you know what all the policies are. And the tutors are not policy makers or policy interpreters. So if you ask them, like, do I have to put my name on every page on my exam? Well, if it says name underscore, or name underline, then really you should put your name there. Maybe it's fine, maybe the pages don't fall apart, but maybe it does, I don't know. But in any case, do I have to, blah, blah, blah. The tutor should tell you where's that information found, so you get the source of that information. If the tutor tells, you ask a question, do I have to do something, and the tutor gives you an answer, and that answer is wrong, it's really on you. Because I'm letting you know, they're not authorized to make policy decisions and give policy answers. they all know that they should point you to where that policy is, because they're not always correct. And it's just frustrating. Oh, this is unfair. I followed the directions of the tutor. He should have known what's going on. She should have known. And they do their best, and they're really great people. They're amazing people. But they're not perfect. No one's perfect. So I want you to know, you need to find where it is on, where's that policy, or ask them to find where the policy is. For full credit in CSE 12, your inline comment should justify the existence of the code that follows. That is true. You should not be describing the language. Index plus plus and a comment. Index is incremented by 1. That makes no sense. That's not helpful in any way. Index plus plus probably is not a line that you should be commenting, right? Probably not. If you were to comment it, I would say, go to the next one. Something like that. That would be better. But really, index plus plus, that's not an independent idea on its own. You're doing some processing of some loop. The comment should probably be at the top of the loop, and it wouldn't necessarily address that index plus plus. Anyway, do not describe the language. Don't try to teach someone C++ or C by reading through your code. The comments are, we want to know what were you thinking about? Why is that line of code there? You need to justify the existence of that code. What are you trying to achieve? That's what an effective comment is. For full credit CSE 12, descriptions of the algorithm for a method function normally belong in the description field of the function method header. That is true. For full credit CSE 12, if a function method body only has one line of code, the function method header isn't needed. That is false. And I don't know what you should know. Here's the answer. False, false, false. Sometimes people think, well, it must be true, so I'm just going to turn this in. And of course, I'm not going to get a deduction, but of course you are going to get a deduction. And again, that's on you. For full credit in CSE 12, if I didn't change a file that's part of your assignment, you still need to provide a file header. That is false. I think there's one exception, but in general, if you didn't change it, you don't need to document it. All you're doing is documenting the things that you're changing. I'm intentionally giving you things that are undocumented, just because I don't want you to just be turning in something that I'm giving you as your own work. So anyway, you'll see as things go forward. But anyway, if you didn't change something, if you didn't change a file, then leave it alone. If you didn't change a function, leave that function alone. If you want to provide a header, go right ahead, but you don't have to. The other thing is .h files. .h files, that's the contract between the outside world and the code you're implementing. And we're going to, when you turn in your programs, we're going to overwrite your program, your files, with the provided .h files. So you definitely don't want to add, you can add comments to your .h file, but you don't want to add variables or new classes or other stuff in there. It's just going to mess up the operator. For full credit in CSE 12, your name always belongs in the file header for the files that you authored or updated. That is true. For full credit in CSE 12, implementing a method for a class or struct means you need to have a class or struct header. That is true. Again, you don't want to forget this. People make this mistake later as well. Sometimes I've given you the class definition, but you're implementing all the methods, and they say, well, I didn't change the class. Well, in a sense you did. You implemented all these methods for that class, so we want the class header. You need to know what the object is you're dealing with. Well, for full credit in CSE 12, if a file contains only one class or struct definition, you can have a combined file or class struct header as long as all information is present. That is true. For full credit in CSE 12, all inline comments need to be at the same indent level as the code being documented. And that is true as well. If you document the local variables, they can be on the same line. All the inline comments that really describe the ideas that you're implementing, they need to be indented at the same line as your code. Typically, there'll be a blank line before the comment. So it'll be blank line comment code, blank line comment code, and then that way your code is fairly spaced out. Let's see. Is the array parameter for your right line method of homework 1 an input or an output parameter or both? This is right line. Is it an input parameter? Absolutely. It's saying what is the message that you're printing. The algorithm goes through that array and prints everything. It is an input parameter. Is the array parameter of your get line method an input parameter, an output parameter, or both? Output. Algorithmically, you're storing into that space. The reason you're storing into that space is giving that information back to the user. It's an output parameter. If submitting a regrade request with a potential gain of 1 homework point through the autograder, are you risking a deduction of your professionalism? No, you're not. In the autograder, you can submit whatever you want. If it's less than 1%, it doesn't come up to us. The professionalism is when you're wasting a person's time. If you want to just keep putting in regrade requests, once they get to 1%, we'll get to them. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Any questions? Yeah. I will as the quarter progresses. We'll see some. But this is one.